All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi's after 49er football for the Pig and a Pickle Krug show. A little recap of this game. This game was ugly. Absolutely ugly game. 49ers lose to the Bengals 31-17. The Niners go into the bye week now, have lost three in a row. Brock Purdy, 21 of 30 for 324 yards. He had the touchdown, but he also had two really bad interceptions. Could have been three. Sacked twice, had a fumble lost, three turnovers. He was everything today as far as the 49ers were concerned. 6 runs, 57 yards, 9.5 yards per carry. Niners, you look at the box score and you see 4.9 yards per carry offensively for the 49ers. McCaffrey had 12 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown. Kittle had 9 catches for 149 yards. Ayuk, 5 catches for 109 yards. CMC, 5 catches for 36 yards and a touchdown. 10 tackles each for Hufanga, Oliver, and Warner. But the story really was two things: Purdy's turnovers and the 49er defense. Joe Burrow, 28 of 32. He completed 88% of his passes. The 49er defense, I don't know what to say about them. They're just bad in every phase. Eric Armstead had a couple sacks, but man, Nick Bosa is doing absolutely nothing. Every time Burrow dropped back to pass, he could complete anything he wanted. 28 of 32 for Joe Burrow. This defense really needs to take a look at itself. I don't know if the issue is Steve Wilkes in the booth, or if they don't have enough coverage, or if it's a game he's calling, or if they don't have enough pass rush. But Joe Burrow did whatever he wanted today. He could throw it at will to Higgins or Jamar Chase. I mean, even the former Stanford kid Irwin was dominant. But 283 yards and 3 touchdowns for Burrow. He completed 88% of his passes. Now, this Bengals team came into the game. They couldn't run the ball. Well, today they could. They averaged 5 yards a carry on 27 carries. Chase caught 10 balls. Probably could have caught 20. And really, you look at the box score. I mean, the Niners had 460 total yards to 400 for Cincinnati, but Cincinnati was +2 in turnovers. And if you look at halftime, Joe Burrow in the first half of this game was 21 of 23. He completed 91% of his passes in the first half. In the first half, there was a point where he completed 18 straight completions. Then you mix in the fact that the Bengals played a much cleaner game than the 49ers. They had no penalties in the first half to speak of at all. They ran it at will, 7.2 yards per carry. If you look at Cincinnati coming into this game, they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't stop the run. They did a good job the Niners could not run wide on this defense. They couldn't get holes in the middle. Burford has continued to be a problem at offensive guard. And then Cincinnati ran it for, as I said, in the first half of this game, 7.2 yards per carry. Cincinnati did not give up sacks. Joe Burrow got the ball out fast. He had anything he wanted all day to Higgins or Chase, Boyd. Just absolutely, the coverage was soft. The rush wasn't there. Cincinnati in the first half, and I keep pointing to the first half because I just felt like the first half was a total clinic. The Niners were down at the end of the first half, 14-10, but it was a total clinic. Cincinnati had 20 first downs to 9 in the first half of the 49ers, 35 total plays to 24 for the 49ers. And it was just like if Cincinnati wanted to run it, they ran it. They wanted to throw a screen pass, they threw a screen pass. They wanted to throw any kind of a underneath route, they did. 49ers tried to get it dialed up defensively in the second half. Luckily, Oliver had a fumble recovery off the Cleveland Farrell forced fumble at the end of the first half. Otherwise, it would have been a bigger score. And, Brock Purdy was not good today, but, the one thing about this is that there's no way he can carry this whole thing by himself. He had the 2 bad turnovers, and they were bad. I mean, the second one, he didn't see Logan Wilson, very reminiscent of what we've seen from Jimmy Garoppolo in the past. But Purdy today was their leading rusher. I mean, he was trying to do it all. I mean, the Bengals didn't even get to third down for the most part against the Niners because they just kept winning on first and second down. The box score is a little deceptive if you look at the whole game. Niners had 460 total yards. Some of that was in garbage time, but you go back to even after the second interception. So, Purdy throws that second interception to Logan Wilson, and the Bengals scored on the next play. Burrow to Chase against Oliver, and you saw Shanahan throw the tablet at that point. So it's 24-10 Cincinnati with 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the Niners drive down the field. Purdy eventually found CMC for a 4-yard score, and it's 24-17, 10-play, 75-yard drive. And you're like, okay, well, there's still 8 minutes of football left, and they're only down a touchdown at home. If they get a stop, they can get the ball back and maybe do something. And Burrow goes to Irwin. Irwin goes to Irwin for 21. Chase has a reverse that Oliver had the tackle for a loss. Then Burrow hits Chase for 20. Then Mixon runs for 5. Then Burrow runs for 10 on 2nd and 6. And they just move the ball down the field, and eventually Mixon goes in from 5 yards out to break the Niners back and make it 31-17. 10-play, 78-yard drive. If the 49ers get a stop there, they potentially come back and tie the game and force overtime. I mean, there's plenty of time. When the Niners got the ball back, there was still 2:54 left, but at that point it's 31-17. So, I'm sure everybody will talk about Brock Purdy today, and rightfully so. He had 2 horrendous turnovers and 3 turnovers total, and he could have thrown a third interception as well. And he'll get the headlines, and there'll be all kinds of people talking about, is Purdy good enough, and so on and so forth. And we can debate that. And this was not a good performance, and he's now had a couple bad performances back to back. But to me, okay, that's a factor. There's no doubt that's a factor. But the other factor is that 49er defense is just nowhere to be found. I mean, if they get a stop on the Bengals' 9th possession with 8 minutes left, they got a shot to at least tie the game. They did nothing to stop this Bengals team at all. I mean, at all. The coverage was soft all day. They didn't stand up on first and second down. They didn't take away Mixon. And Joe Burrow did whatever he wanted. I mean, it just really felt like Steve Wilks' defense is getting carved up. And now the question is, if you're John Lynch, what do you do? The trade deadline's in 2 days, but are the 49ers really one edge rusher away? No. They need an edge rusher. They need a lot. They need an edge rusher. They need another corner. They need to play better overall defense. You may argue that they need another linebacker with Warner and Greenlaw getting dinged up. They may need an offensive guard. Burford just doesn't look like he's up to it. I mean, it's there's a lot of needs. There's a lot of needs. So anyway, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check us out right now on the Postgame Show on YouTube. It'll be myself, Kev, Baller, JD will join us in a bit, and we, of course, want to hear from you. Disappointing. What's more disappointing, I guess, is the question. Brock Purdy and the way he played, or this Steve Wilks defense and the way they played? We'll debate it next on the post-game show. We're live here at Levi's, and we'll get to it next on the Krug Show on YouTube. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.